So let's dig into the viewer mailbag. Do you have the mailbag handy here?
Nope.
You don't? Okay. We had actually a question. The reader or the viewer said, I read an article that suggested you use a site's password reset feature rather than use a password manager. This way you have a one-time password. Is this a good idea? So basically what this is referring to is rather than try to remember your password, each time you visit a site, there's a password reset. Usually it's a link that says forgot your password. You can go click on that and then basically go through a password reset process, which is usually going to either send you a link to reset your password, or occasionally even send you a temporary password, and you can go back and set a new password. But then, conduct your business, and the next time come around, just forget what your new password is and come back and do the same thing. I don't know. What are your thoughts here, Matt?
Well, I'll say from time to time I've been guilty of using the password reset feature to log into an account, and sometimes it's more sites that I do that more often. But I'm not sure this is a good idea in general. The first thing is that not all password reset features have been created equal. Like you said, some of them will give you a temporary password that gets emailed directly to you. Now, depending on how your email is set up, you may be, exposing through the network traffic your password for that service. And if you're at a cafe somewhere or any place that offers free Wi-Fi, you may be that traffic may be monitored. So in that case, it's not a very good idea.
What do you think, Jim?
I have mixed feelings on this one. I kind of understand the idea of using the reset function to make it kind of like one-time passwords, but then you're at the mercy of how secure is your email account. How many times have we seen folks who lost control of their email account? Now they've, if the bad guys have access to that, now they can log into your account too. They can then delete potentially any evidence that they were there, and so you won't necessarily notice it the next time. I kind of like the password managers and generating strong passwords. I just have too many passwords to keep track of myself, so I've finally broken down and use one, and then I can generate as strong a password as necessary. The other issue that you sometimes have if you're using the reset is that going over an encrypted or unencrypted? Are they including the password in the email or just a link to where you reset it? I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I can understand the attraction of it. I'm not sure that I'm going to use that myself.
Yeah, so, I think you're kind of touching on what my primary concern is here, is that, usually when we have a login to a system, it's actually recommended that you get some indicator that says, the last time you logged in was at this time. And I kind of use that a little bit in this case, in cases like this, that is, if my password had been reset, then I would like to have a notification. Now, presumably it's coming through your email, but then you start to wonder, what if they could bypass that process or change some things along the way. And I think that's one of the challenges here, is that ultimately you're really at the mercy of the password reset process anyway.
And in some sites that doesn't even involve email, and in some sites that involves just answering, these security questions. And those have issues all their own. These supposed questions that only you can answer, but anybody who knows you well or knows how to use Google well can find the real answers to some of these. So then the idea is most people suggest you actually lie about those. My problem is I can't ever remember the lies that I told which site. So
yeah. And well, I think that kind of points on this reference article, and we'll provide a link to it in the program here, but that the reader was referring to, it actually referred to 2 stupid password tricks. And Jim, you're actually alluding to the second password trick here. And I think the recommendation in the article was to use basically the same lie all the time. And well,
that's it looked like they wanted you to use the same exact lie to the answer to all of your security questions. But I thought the point of the security questions was that you would have 5 or 6 questions with 5 or 6 separate answers.
Right.
So if someone manages to get the answer to one of them somehow, keylogging or whatever, they've got all of them at that
Presumably, if they realize that you're lying.
point. Correct.
And
If
so
they
that's an aspect of this. But the thing that comes to mind here is how many times, and Jim, you know the answer to this, perhaps not literally, but at least qualitatively, how many times we've found sites that don't even do a good job at encrypting passwords. Can you imagine how many that are just doing a really lousy job at protecting the questions and answers?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So what we'd expect is that's probably the first thing that's going to get compromised right after your username. You're going to lose the security questions and answers, and then perhaps after that, there's a chance that somebody will be able to crack your password. I mean, I'm being a little bit presumptuous here. We're not looking at a specific site, but that's what I would expect to see. So I think you really kind of have to treat those as passwords anyway. Personally, the method I use is I have a tool that I use to not only track my username and password, but the security question and the bogus answer that I provided. And that helps to keep the variety in the process. And I've actually even used sites where they not only expect you to know your password, but they also expect you to answer the security questions on top of that. So it gives a little more depth. It gets more into the notion of a passphrase as opposed to a simple password.
Banks will do that. They'll use a password and a security question and some sort of challenge response as well, which is good. I was actually thinking about Jim's response about if you're using a password reset and the attackers happen to have a control of your email account, that they would use that as a way in. But they could just as well trigger the password reset on their own, because they would know it would come to them. It's a matter of whether or not they want to create that little extra amount of noise when that email comes in and says, you've tried to reset your password, if they can click delete fast enough.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. I really like the article. I love the viewer question. I'm a little hedgy on the answers, but they're certainly, I think, intriguing, thought-provoking. And so that's one of the big reasons I like the article. So thanks for that.